an executive order period comes out on drug pricing next week from you and your colleagues? Yeah.
I would say probably 90%, we'll see an executive order.
Okay. Percent likelihood that that will include Medicare Part D.
I'm going to say low, under 25.
Okay, I like it.
Just,
Uh,
yeah.
Percent likelihood that it will include Medicare Part B.
So it's either, if it comes out, which I think it will, I'd coin flip between Medicaid and Medicare Part B. I don't know who is personally advising Trump on this outside of his own notion that the US needs a better deal. Um, so that is really, it seems to me path of least resistance would be a Medicaid aspect.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, and then also addendum to that, if it is Medicare Part D, it sounds like let's put it this way. So only 25% of it's Part D. If it is Part D, what is the chances that it is either expanding the Inflation Reduction Act or a different model for Part D?
It would almost have to be through IRA. I mean, he's just talked about this to start a whole new model, especially because there is not any, already established groundwork for this.
Right.
We so many issues, but maybe he'll throw that out there. I just don't see it potentially coming to fruition.
Okay, so that'll be my next question. So, okay, for all of these, let's start with Part B, because it seems like the one that's most possible. Chances are that it actually gets through.
Maybe in a limited scope Part B demo model where maybe it's a handful of drugs and CMMI offsets the potential net savings in some way to providers. I still think
Define. So okay, so a percent and then define handful.
so for it to actually get implemented, like come to fruition in Part B, under 25%. There's way too much argument against this.
Right.
Both soft and soft
And
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, if it was implemented, I think it's going to be a very limited scope. It might just be handful of drugs.
Top 50, top 10. What are we talking about?
Top 10. I don't even know if it would be top 10. Maybe just 10. And they'll have some formula.
If it's just Keytruda, it's a problem.
Yeah. I don't think. Now he could come out and say they'll launch this CMMI demo product, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be very, very limited in scope if it does come out.
Right. So it sounds like, okay, even if it is Part B, 25% chance it actually gets through, whether it's soft or hard power. And then even that scenario, it would only be in a limited scope.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, anything I haven't asked you about or something that you think is really important for investors to understand here?
No, I think really for investors, I think the Medicaid is a very small market. So there could be a lot of smoke if he does do Medicaid. Again, I think that's a potential path of least resistance. But just like the IRA, I think at the end of the day, the net impact is going to be fairly small.
I would agree with that.
The IRA, though, the next couple rounds of negotiations, you will start to see drugs that already have or have smaller rebates. So these negotiations will probably be a bit more contentious and will have a bigger impact.
Makes sense. Okay. Hey, Jerome, thank you so much. You are the guy I got to talk to because you've actually been on the ground looking at this stuff. Makes me sleep a little better going into Friday, even though it does sound